Hello friends, welcome back to my shop. In this week's video, my plan is, I'm gonna get some of those fluxes blackened up, put up on my website. The black ones seem to everyone likes those more, so I'm just gonna do like a bunch of them in black. Then I have to finish up some custom work, and that's probably gonna use up a large portion of the week. I'd like to say that I want to move on to the bolt actions. I'm gonna start working on those actually next, but I think that custom work is gonna eat up all my time. We'll see what happens though. Let's go. Alright, so my plans for the start of this week have already gone wildly off the rails in a wonderful fashion. I had produced a bunch of those fluxes. I thought they would sell slowly over the next couple weeks, giving me time to finish the custom work that I'm currently doing. That didn't happen. They sold like instantly, and then people are messaging me for more. So unfortunately, we're just gonna have to wait. That's just how the cookie crumbles. I'm gonna finish the custom work this week, and then we'll get on to the fluxes after that. And they're fairly easy to produce. A lot of it is like CNC operations now, so that helps a bunch. And then from that, we can go on to the bolt actions, which is my next thing, because I think I have the threading pretty close. Titanium, the one in brass actually worked nicely. I'll put it by my face so it's in focus. The threads work great, but titanium, just there was a little more deflection, so it's a little too tight. So dropping everything. That worked out well, but let's do the custom work. So this is probably the most complicated part and the only part that really makes me nervous. We got this whole boss here. This is all titanium. I already have it partially milled out. Like that. I left some stock on the back here just so I can hold it. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn threads on this boss and on this boss. But the problem is, if I turn this off, turn that on, set it sideways, you can see that's what the final part's going to look like. But when the threading tool comes in here, you can see right here, ignore this bit, drawing single point tools in Fusion actually seems to be, custom single point tools in Fusion seems to be a little annoying. So this is the best match for a threading tool, but it just has a boss that my tool doesn't have. So anyways, ignore this little crash, but you can see this 60-degree tool, just if you carry that line along, we'll have enough room to clear that chamfer. And then the tail end on this one will, if I move to the next op, it'll easily clear this one as well, where the runout is. Starting obviously is no issue, but just everything is really tight tolerances here for the single point threading. So it's the only part that makes me nervous because I've already invested time into very precisely milling these internal bores to work with the feeder tube. And I really don't want to scrap the part by turning these two down. And I want to leave this boss larger because I want it to be larger than the threads, or else I would just thread this whole thing and then put two parts in after it, or two little grooves here, but I want this to be bigger. So I can't do it that way, but it just makes it scarier. So we'll see how she goes. Well, it almost worked. So this piece is the one piece, the most complicated part of this stupid custom pen I'm working on right now. And the reason I'm working so hard on this is because this actually correlates exactly with my bolt, my EDC bolt pen. And it's just a little bit easier to do on this one because, like I said, this one's, I don't know if I said it, but anyways, this part's titanium, the next part's brass. On the EDC bolt, it's stainless and titanium, which are both kind of more difficult to work with. So titanium and brass is easier to kind of start meshing up with. That's why I'm spending so much time trying to get this perfect. Single point threading on both these sides with very little clearance. You saw it in that drawing. Worked almost. For some reason, I'm losing synchronization and I'm ending up right in the middle of a thread. I'll put a zoomed in image here where you can see the threading tool basically comes through the thread, and then at one step I can't, it's a fast process, so it's hard to tell, and I can't slow my machine down any slower. So I basically just have to kind of look after the fact because it's covered in oil while it's cutting. Long story short, it's basically doing the thread perfectly and then cutting like right down the middle of the threads. It's not in the software. The software is happy. I've done it perfectly before on threads without issues. So I know I'm just losing synchronization. What I think might be happening is my rapid speed is actually pretty fast for what these motors can do on this lathe. I think I'm just running out of running room. I should slow down my rapids. that would probably solve it. So that's the next thing I'm going to do is slow my rapids down and then do a bunch of test cuts, because now this is a scrap part, which is super annoying because there's a lot of work that I went into getting like all the inner dimensions to like within tenths, which on my lathe isn't exactly super easy. So especially IDs of bores that I can't measure. So that's frustrating, but I have to do it at some point, so I may as well just keep plugging along. I wanted to get this finished for this video so I could post it in and we could have the ends threading on, but that's not going to happen because I got to start editing this video right now. So we'll just push it to next week. But I don't like not ending on its success, but such is life. So I'll keep tinkering with it. Since I glossed over this so quickly in my last video, here's just like a super quick summary of what I did to my little tag here to make it CNC. Basically the only major changes, I already had the stepper motor for the digital lead screw on the bottom here, so that stayed pretty much the same. It's just the method of controlling it changed slightly. The stepper motor drives this lead screw now, which is basically the exact same 1/4-20 lead screw that it came stock with. I just got a longer one and then machined the end so it would fit in the little handle here. There's a thrust bearing inside here, but anyways, that all works out. Now the stepper motor can drive it back and forth. There's a ton of backlash because it's just a stock like split nut. So there's about like, I don't know, 9 thou of software compensation running right now. But honestly, for a lathe, not too big of a deal. I mean, when you're doing 3D turning, it's going to be an issue because it's going to have to take up that lash. But for majority of my turning, it's just basically come in, make the cut, come back out, make the cut. So it hasn't presented an issue yet. When I start doing a lot more 3D work, I'll just have to machine a new basically anti-backlash nut for there to get the mechanical backlash lowered. And yeah, that's it. That's the rest of it. The whole back end here, the only difference is I had to add an optical encoder and a magnetic encoder just to pick up the spindle and the index of the spindle. You need 2 of them just for threading. That's it. It was actually a very, very simple conversion. I just put a stepper motor bracket on here. There's no limit switches or anything, and I still kept the stock little kind of split nut, half nut, so that I can still use it by hand. And that's the reason the handle is still on here, so that when the power's off, I can still use the lathe manually. Because sometimes it's nice to use manually, but manly. It's nice to use manually. But honestly, most times now, I literally use my lathe like this now via the computer because it's so much nicer to have readouts. And yeah, like dimension turning is wicked. These 2 failed threads were turned exactly to 0.35 is what my diameter was, and I was within plus minus 1/10, which is awesome. That's more accurate than I need to work with right now, so I was super pleased with that. So, like I said, as much as I'd like to finish this, I'm just gonna have to keep plugging away on it. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.